Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. Money Radio brings you the latest developments in Nigeria's business and economy cycles and issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we are going to talk about insecurity and how insecurity affects businesses in Nigeria, and of course, how we can use the artificial intelligence to tackle the menace of insecurity in Nigeria. It has always been said that a nation that is not safe cannot attract the much needed investment, both local and international. And therefore, the issue of insecurity in the Nigerian nation has been dominating news for the past over 10 years now, and the situation is not going away anytime soon. But then there is hope that the Nigerian government is trying to apply artificial intelligence in trying to curb this scourge of insecurity that dotted the landscape of Nigeria. You can name it: the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeastern part of the country, the bandits that have already are making inroads into even Abuja. We understand that they have their cells in Abuja. And of course, the issue of insecurity in the southeastern part of the country are being triggered by the secessionist movements of the indigenous people of Biafra. There are also insecurity problems around the southwest part of the country, and in the northeastern part of north central of the country, the clashes between the herdsmen and farmers. All these are some of the things that have actually hindered development, and of course are becoming a stumbling block to foreign direct investment and even capital inflow into the country. And so we're going to talk about how to use artificial intelligence to curb insecurity in the country. And of course, I am here in the studio with an expert in the field of information and communication technology, ICT, with whom I'm going to do justice to this very important topic. I have in the studio my regular guest, Haniel Jafaru. Haniel, you're welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Now, Haniel, the issue of insecurity has become like a part of Nigeria, where every day we wake up to all kinds of news, dominating the landscape about killings here, kidnappings here, and all sorts of things that the terrorists and the bandits have done against the Nigerian state in the last couple of years. But the response of the government has actually been a problem. Many people have questioned the seriousness of government in tackling these issues, and then suggested, because experts have suggested that maybe the traditional way of fighting insecurity might not have given us the answers. So we needed something more, much more, engaging, something deeper, like artificial intelligence, with which we can now begin to really get the data required to curb this crisis. Aniel, first of all, you as an expert in the field, you can tell us a bit about the artificial intelligence. Then you can go ahead and tell us how they can be deployed, or how it can be deployed, rather.
Artificial intelligence generally, it's something that it's a branch of computer science that focuses on developing or creating intelligence, just like the human intelligence. It's more of like a stimulation of the human intelligence, but this time around, it's natural intelligence that like the human, but it is artificially designed. It's a form of intelligence that tends to come from largely machines, but we've seen cases where it's been used in other things outside machines, like the web technology. We have artificial intelligence running on the web, but largely it's machines, and it's not just artificial intelligence; it's artificial intelligence and machine learning. Artificial intelligence is the first, and the machine learning tends to do with the ability for the machine itself to learn. Let's say, for example, you meet a machine for the first time, you speak to a machine for the first time. The machine may not have known that you're the one, but probably that first time the machine would learn your voice, learn your posture, learn your all the things it needs to learn about you. So the next time you're speaking with a machine, it already has a data about you. So it knows who you are, what you've done before, where you met before, and all necessary information. So it's artificial intelligence and machine learning. Then there is the robotic that brings both of them together. Robotic tends to built in. It's a mechanical device that has artificial intelligence built into it and also has the ability to learn. So both artificial intelligence and machine learning, they are both embedded into a robotic machine. And this is largely the next generation of wealth creation. Now I'm talking about AI, ML, how it can be deployed in insecurity. Sadly, as a country, I don't think we've gotten to the stage where we would not the challenges. The challenge has gotten to the stage where we would deploy AI, ML, but as a country, the sophistication that is required to deploy AI, ML, and the resources that it needs, we have not attained to that. It's really a good innovation. It's a good initiative. But there are we've not even deployed technology, a regular technology that we know that is easier to deploy. All you need to do is buy, plug and play. We've not deployed that. We're not talking about deploying AI, ML, or AI general, as the case may be. Yet, we've not deployed drones as it is. We've mentioned it on several occasions. We've recommended it on several occasions. It's time for us to deploy drones. There are drones that have AI built into them. Yeah, there are drones that have AI built into them. So they have the ability to take decisions on their own based on the design of the drones. They have the ability to scan through certain locations and take data of that location and send it probably to the command and control center or the drone center for data. They have the ability to carry out data collection in the field. These are largely the best way we can get these things. If you are able to deploy drones, more of like intelligence, reconnaissance and surveillance, that's IRS drones, intelligent reconnaissance and surveillance drones, it's easier for us to have the data we need to fight these guys. Humans may not be able to curb the old forest and bushes and all the undeveloped areas and the rural areas in this country, but drones can do that. So what's stopping us from embedding drones into our operations? What's stopping the military from bringing drones into data collections? I know fully well that we have some drones. Yes. The Nigerian Air Force has drones, I know, but I don't know of the army. But generally, what's stopping us from getting more of these drones and putting these drones? Because you need to first have drones, see the effectiveness of these drones, before you now think of getting AI, which invariably means bringing in robots. Now, these robots would definitely have AI built into them, but you need to first use the drone that is mechanical. Use the drones that can move from one place to another without anybody controlling it. It goes around, gather the intelligence it needs to gather, move around the bushes from every corner, from every beacon to beacon, from every path to path, just to ensure that it gathers intelligence as regards people moving around that location. Sending those data to the command center gives information to the military to know what to do. But if we have not deployed drone, how then would we be able to effectively bring in robotics and AI as it is now?
Okay. Now this idea is coming from the Nigerian ministry, that's the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. Sometime last year, the minister, Issa Pantami, was saying that, was expressing optimism that the issue of insecurity will be curbed, massively by the deployment of artificial intelligence. Now, the question, however, is that just like you raised here, that we have not even been able to exploit the regular technology, and then we're already jumping into the AI, which of course you say the resources, the enablement, and how to even deploy them are really not easy in Nigeria at the moment. So why then do we keep giving ourselves assurances about AI when we don't even have the enablement here?
Well, maybe the when the AI comes, it comes with its own enablement. That's what I can say. But generally, AI. Now, when we're talking about AI, it's not. It may sound interesting as a word, but there are certain things you need to put into consideration before you deploy your AI.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing is where are you deploying the AI? Are you deploying it in the cyberspace, which tends to be when I'm talking about the cyberspace? Are you deploying it in within the web technologies, websites that goes from place to place, gathering intelligence and gathering information? At what rate are you? Who would develop it? What's the extent of development that will be put into that AI? That will make that AI to know what and who is who, what is what. Now we don't have a database. These are some of the information that the AI will use to carry out its intelligence. It needs something to start with, and the easiest thing it can start with is a comprehensive database of the citizens, which we don't have comprehensively now. Yet we don't have a way of updating. We don't have a way of managing. We don't have any enforcement as to the strategy to ensure that everybody's data is up to date. People living in this location, tomorrow they've located, but they're still using that same location in their NIMSI data. So the AI as it is now would be designed to work with this data, and at the end of the day, the result that the AI may be bringing may not bring forth efficiency and effectiveness. And the reason is because the data that the AI is working with is not being updated. The data it's working with is not accurate at the time it's working with it. So that's one aspect. Then the second aspect is, do you want to now put it in technology? For example, you want to put it in your you want to embed the AI into robotics. So the cost of developing a robot in the US and other parts of the world is expensive. What type of robot do you want to develop? Do you want to just develop a surveillance robot? What level of AI do you want to, or what OS would the robot run with? What AI you be embedded into the robot? Now you're buying the robot is supposed to come comprehensively embedded with all the necessary technology. But the cost of getting one robot, it's expensive. Now we're talking about empowering our military men.
Yes.
The cost of doing that, we already complained that it's expensive because the defense alone is covering more than 30%, if I'm not mistaken, of the yearly budget. So if you want to now embed, they're now bringing in the need for artificial intelligence and robotic, as the case may be, it now means that the budget is going to be on the rise or on the increase. The percentage that they are getting is definitely going to be on the increase. So if we're already complaining for what they are consuming, and we're talking of bringing on more, not as though that what they're consuming now is even, we're not seeing the result of what they're consuming as it is in this case. Maybe it's happening and I'm not hearing it, but generally looking at it generally from the layman or from the man that is on the street or from the man that is in the rural environment, they're not seeing the effect of the over 30% budget that is allocated to defense. And at the end, they will stay some governors will still come back and say, okay, some bandits are taking over their territory. So it with all this on the news, it invariably means that the amount allocated to the military may not be enough, or it's been mismanaged. So there are so many things to put into consideration before you talk about bringing AI. First things first, it's easier to get drones. You can get cheap drones that has the ability to be on the air and gather surveillance for you and send those information to the drone center. From the drone center, you get your data. You analyze your data, you send your operative to the field. These things are easy. These are things that can be implemented. All you need is a drone system and a communication system. Having a drone system on one side that helps you do the surveillance, having a communication system on the other side, where the communication system and a drone center, the drone center sends information to the drone send information to the drone center. From that drone center, these data or this information are analyzed, and from there it is passed to the communication system. From the communication system, this information is disbursed or sent to operatives that are in the field, the field agents and the field guys, the military guys that are in the field, to go to certain areas, because information reaching them may look as though there are activities of banditry going on within that location. So they are easy things to come by. Why it's not being implemented, why it's not being deployed is something we should ask. We should ask those in charge.
Yes, we should ask them. That's why we're interrogating this matter today, because where there's I got information this afternoon that even the Boko Haram terrorists and the bandits are now beginning to share, their spheres of influence. In one part of the country, let's say in some places like Gwari in Kaduna State, there are some swath of land, having been captured, by the terrorists. They're not sharing them in terms of spheres of influence. They kind of, okay, Boko Haram, you take this side, we take this side. And they're now building their own capacity to do what? To extort the people. Before you go to the farm, you have to go and pay the Boko Haram, or you pay the bandits, according to their own spheres of influence. So this is what is happening in Nigeria. We need to investigate this kind of development. I'm not saying that it's just an allegation that this is what is going on within that area. So the federal government agencies that are involved in the fight against insecurity should go ahead and do this investigation and see how we're going to stop this, because this is a state capture. They've actually captured swath of the land, allegedly, and are forcing people to invariably pay them money before you can access your farm, before you can do any other business. And after you have even, harvested your crops, you are supposed to also give them part of it. So the people are actually now under serious siege within our own territory. Now, if you remember, there's also this issue of when Abubakar Shekau, the leader of Boko Haram, was killed. And we heard that he was killed in Sambisa Forest, a Nigerian territory, by a rival group called ISWAP. Now, if a Nigerian, within a Nigerian territory, two rival terrorist groups found themselves within the territory and are fighting, such that one group eliminated the leader of the other group within our same territory, and we cannot, as a people, deploy this technology, even the regular technology we talked about, we couldn't even deploy it to detect these, elements within our society. So we're now talking about, the minister is so enthusiastic about deploying artificial intelligence, and even other government agents are also doing that. So if you have simply not been able to deploy regular technology, how then can we begin to apply a deeper measure like artificial intelligence? And what kind of investment do you think should actually be made in this sector?
Well, largely the
okay, I have to hold your thought on that. We're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we can continue the discussion. If you're just joining us, we have been talking about how to deploy artificial intelligence to fight the menace of insecurity in our country. And I've been in the studio with an ICT expert, Haniel Jafaru. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the program. Don't go away.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Welcome back. We're just getting
Money
us
Radio,
onto the-
discussing the business of making and spending money.
to welcome back. If you're just joining us, we've been in the studio talking about how to deploy artificial intelligence to curb the issue of insecurity bedeviling parts of Nigeria. And I've been in the studio with ICT expert Hannah Jafaru talking about this issue and how we're going to use it to ensure that we tame the scourge of insecurity ravaging parts of the country. Hannah, before we went on that short break, we're talking about the seeming inability of the government to survey. The surveillance system seem to be in some jeopardy, if you ask me. I'll give an example of how some reports are coming in that the Boko Haram terrorists and their bandit counterparts have now shared spheres of influence in a place like Gwari. They need to investigate that. And they are collecting taxes and money, all kinds of money from people to allow them to even access their farms. Now, this is within our territory, and we cannot deploy even the regular technology to deal with the problem. Now, there was another issue I raised about Abu Chikal, the Boko Haram leader that was killed within Sambisa forest by a rival ISWAP group. So if these rival groups can find their way into the Nigerian territory and are causing, real harm to us, why would the Nigerian government be only talking about artificial intelligence and cannot even use the regular technology to track these elements?
Well, the why is truly is a question that is meant for the government, because they are the one that have been presented with the options, and they probably would know the reasons why they did not deploy that. But personally, as a personal opinion, I have not seen a reason that is a yardstick enough for them not to have deployed the regular technology that has been mentioned as it is. What I think personally, I would say there is a level of corruption that has bedeviled the country's security apparatus. How it has found its way in there is what I don't know. But largely, with the amount of money that is being pushed into that segment, looking at the budget for defense, Ministry of Defense from 2011, with an increase in 2015 and increase again in 2019. And there will definitely be another increase in 2023. Yeah, so you would now know that it's not just I think it has become a state. Nigeria is now like a milk, like a cow that is being milked by the security agencies, because some of these things are things that can easily be deployed. From my own perspective, there may be reasons there may be information that I'm not prior to, but these are technologies that can easily, in fact, these are technologies that state governments can deploy. It's a case of I've just done these are strategic. These are things that makes your state secured. If these guys knows fully well that there are robots, there are drones in the air of a particular state.
Yes. Now, before you go further on that, Haniel, you just reminded me of the U.S. deployment of drone, even outside the U.S. territory, and it has been working wonders for them. Now, remember some days ago, the U.S. deployed drone to kill the Al Qaeda leader, Ayman al-Zawahiri, in Afghanistan, inside his own apartment. A drone came there, they located him, killed just the man. So this smart technology is doing a wonderful work. And we have this smart technology. At least you mentioned that the Nigerian Air Force have some drones. So is it possible that the drones that they acquired have not functioned, or that we don't have what it takes to make them function?
There are different categories of drones, actually. There are drones that are designed for intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance. Which those kind of drones, they are not armed. What they do is that they move from place to place gathering intelligence. They can just zoom from the orbit, zoom into the earth and look at happenings within that territory. And if the drone has AI built into it, it has the ability to learn exactly through patterns what exactly is happening. If it's a case of siege, if it's a case of whatsoever the case is, it can transmit that data to the drone center that would be captured and monitored. This thing, the government does not need high-level approval to get drone centers to keep their state secured. Because all they just need to do is to ensure that they do the necessary background work, do the necessary background check, get these drones available, put these drones to use, have a drone center that tends to gather intel, that tends to be the point for intelligence gathering. Send these drones to the field. These drones will be in the field, gathering all the intelligence that it is to gather, sending it back to the drone centers, and from there, the state government. Now, I'm not even talking about the federal government. I'm talking about looking at it from the state level. The state government can now have intelligence to work with. If they want to pass it to the state police or the state commissioner of police, now that is assumed to be directly under them, they can easily pass that information for the state police to move ahead into the field, is operative into the field. You get, so with that, now it's not a case of you're not putting human. The only time that humans need to interface with these guys would when there is accurate information, accurate intelligence that has been captured by this drone with pictorial evidence, with video evidence, visual evidence. Now you're seeing these guys moving from one place to another. You have been able to analyze the data that has been given to you, knowing that they can pass through this route or that route. You send your operatives there to lay siege on them. Now these guys would know fully well that there is nowhere to hide. Because they know that you can only hide when you are viewing, you want to gather your intelligence from the ground. But when you're gathering your intelligence from the orbit, where are they hiding to? Because you have the whole state landmass at your fingerprints using drone technology. So why have we deployed this thing? Why? That's the question I'm asking. Why won't we deploy this? What's the bureaucracy that is happening, that is making state government, I'm not even talking about the federal government, state government to even deploy these things? Because the state government largely they are supposed to be the custodian of, they are supposed to be the chief security of the state. So if there are constitutional issues that prevents them from being that, they can walk around this thing. And one way they can walk around this thing is by deploying technology. The Constitution does not stop them from deploying technology. The Constitution does not stop them from having technology that gives them intelligence. What the Constitution stopped them from doing is largely having state policing or law enforcement that tends to hold guns. So they can pass this intelligence to the whether the DSS or the commissioner of police and whatsoever the case is, for them to go to the field. Now, if those ones fail to go to the field, then you now sit down and say, okay, how do we work around this issue? But now you don't have the intelligence. You depend on the military for intelligence. You depend on police for intelligence, and they're not bringing this intelligence. You're facing under a state of anarchy. I think they're not doing enough for state governments. But federal government is actually a case of discussion for another day.
Okay. Finally, before we go, just some few seconds. There's this issue of lack of synergy among the security agencies. The DSS are working in different directions, or the police, the army, all working in different directions on various planes. No coordination. So this type of thing, I'm afraid, will not even help us in harnessing our resources together to actually even procure this type of technology to fight insecurity. Now, the issue of this lack of synergy was actually discussed at an event yesterday, where the former chief of army staff, General Abdurrahman Bello Dambazao, actually pointed out, as a guest speaker, pointed out some of these things. But then everything remains on paper. I'm afraid that synergy that is required may not come to help us process information that can lead to technology.
It's simple. See, this thing, it's not something that is difficult. DSS, DIA, MIA, they are directly under the Office of National Security Advisor. And these are the agencies responsible for intelligence. Now, the police is under Interior. Now, this is the agency responsible for law enforcement, largely. Customs is under Finance. This is the agency responsible for checkmate for tax and other import export tax orders. Then we have Immigration. So you just find out that all aspects of security they are distributed to different and all of them reports to the president. So largely there is the lack of synergy is as a result of the security architecture of the country. So not until the Nigerians come together to redesign the security architecture. The US experienced the same thing. This was what brought about. This was the lapses that caused the 9/11 attack. Now they went back. They learned from their mistake. They came back to the drawing board. They redesigned their security architecture. They brought what is called the Department of Homeland Security. Now, what has stopped us from learning from our own past, from our own mistakes? We've had series of attacks. The police headquarters have been attacked. UN buildings have been attacked, and all that. What has stopped us from learning from our mistake?
Okay, we will have to stop it here. Haniel, it's always a pleasure having you on the program. I just thought that we had all the time, but no, we don't. The time is not on our side. We're going to continue this discussion because it's really, really important that we exhaust some of these issues so that Nigerians can begin to have ways through which we will fight this insecurity. It's on that note that we come to the end of today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. I've been in the studio with ICT expert Haniel Jafaru doing justice to the topic of using artificial intelligence to fight insecurity in Nigeria. We promise you that when next we come, we're going to bring you a bumper edition of Money Radio. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.